I think there is a severe lack of understanding of how insane this would be if this comes out on Monday after hours when they report this. Hey guys, welcome to Dreamcoin, where we show how to invest for a better tomorrow. My name's Tyler, and we're just going to be doing another update on MRIN, where I think one of the most significant days that is going to dictate the direction on this stock is going to be coming up on Monday, and why I think that is going to be the case. To start, we're just going to be looking over some of the price action that came in to end the week. Starting around Tuesday, I said $16 was going to be a pretty significant price point to watch for going into the end of the week. It held that pretty well July 8th through the entire day, and we didn't even come close to that on Friday, which is a good sign. We had higher lows than the previous day, and we also had identical spikes that happened on both days, where this had spiked up here and this had spiked up here, both around open. Just to recap where we had talked about before, somebody really does not want this stock around $16. It seems very identical to the fact that we've had huge buy inflows coming around these times. So it looks like very big buyers or whales, however you want to call them, are looking to keep this well above 16. I assume 16 is where the majority of shorts are underwater right now still. Even with some shorts covering in the last week, we are still sitting roughly between 110 and 120% short interest most of the days this week. And this bodes well for the potential for the short squeeze, especially going into next week, with a lot of call options for $20 and $30 being expected to expire at the end of next week. I told a few people in the Discord to be watching for the 17 area for Friday, because this ended up holding well and sitting here, and I said this looked like it was going to be forming soft support, and this did pretty well, including going into after hours, where we saw a price closing off after hours at about 17.19. And so we are looking to be in a good gap up potential spot for Monday, depending on how the price action breaks down. Now, this is a big point, and what is going to be my segue into why Monday is going to be one of the most significant days thus far on MRIN and its price action. So to this point, a lot of people have been spreading the fact that this only has 1% short interest, supposedly. They're saying that the Ortex numbers are wrong, or they're just outright using data that is outdated for absolutely no reason looking at the last week. If we look here, we're going to see two significant dates that are going to be huge points to look at when we look into Ortex. But we've got March 15th, we saw short interest of 724,000 shares. And June 15th, we saw almost 157,000 short shares. As I said before, if we break it down in a percent, we have reported on June 15th about 1.71% of the float being listed as short. This is the biggest argument people try to have against MRIN right now, where June 15th, we see here that they've listed it was a short percent of the flow of 1.71%, which is obviously very small and way off from the current Ortex estimates of this stock. When we look back at the historical data for Ortex, they didn't even start increasing their short interest until June 24th. So all of this data that is showing on the NASDAQ current settings is entirely irrelevant to the situation now, because all of this started escalating around when that Instacart news came out. That was the big catalyst that started this entire thing. A lot of people are still overlooking how significant that event was, and this set off the entire chain of events that has gotten us to where we are today. If we look at the estimated short interest percent of the free float from Ortex as compared to the exchange reported short interest, with both of these data points being in Ortex, we can see that Ortex estimated the short interest percent of the float to be less than 1%, which was actually 0.88% if you could break that down further and want to be more specific. The estimated exchange reported short interest was 156,930 shares. As we look at the Ortex data for the estimated short interest on June 24th, we can see that the percent was about 30.5%. And this is obviously almost 40 times bigger than that percent that Ortex estimated back on the 15th 15th of June. Now, what I want to show you about why Monday is going to be so significant and why all of these short interest discrepancies are going to be big is because NASDAQ is not currently reporting this as one of the top short interest stocks. A lot of people are kind of just dissing it outright because they are looking at it as, just a distraction for AMC or GME if you're on the Wall Street bet side. Or if you look at the people that are trying to be rational, they're saying, oh, this doesn't even have anything. There's no way, this is all just FOMO and just pumping of a stock and everything. But as we look at the publication schedule for NASDAQ doing short interest percentages, they are expected to do their newest update here on July 12th. What is going to be significant about July 12th is that they are having the settlement date as June 30th. If we look back at the estimated short interest percentage on June 30th after it settled during the market, we see 156% short interest of the free float. Now, this could be anytime during the day that they actually post settlement for the short interest. This could be down as low as around 120%, which was what it went into during the beginning of the day. If that's the case, that is still a huge amount going up. So I think the short interest is going to be reported between 100 and 156% based on the fact that Ortex has seemed to be decently accurate thus far and actually underreported some of the short interest percent based on previous dates with MRIN. To give you an example of how Ortex has seemed to be decently accurate over the last couple months, especially after the GME and AMC stuff has been blowing up and there has seemed to be more of a demand for this kind of data for retail, we are going to look at AMD, where AMD on June 15th was reported to be about 7.18% short percent of float. And if we go back on Ortex, their estimated short interest percent of the float was 7.09. So there are a couple cases where I've been looking back and cross-checking this with different stocks where Ortex has actually been underreporting this. Now, while they don't have a total data collection from the entire market, which would be almost impossible to do in real time, they have a pretty significant portion of it, and it's not based on exchanges self-reporting or anything. It's based off of transactions and pulling data from those transactions and things from different exchanges. And so with them pulling this data themselves, even with a smaller part of the market than the total market, we can assume that the data is fairly accurate, if not even underreporting some of this stuff. That would make this all a little messy, but if we just go straight off, don't even think about dark pools or synthetic shares or any possible scenarios like that, this looks very nice for the direction of MRIN with their short percentage. As of today on July 10th, which is a day after market close on Friday, we see that we still have a short interest percent of float of 118%, which would put us at 11.63 million shares short. The average cost to borrow is still over 300%, and this is going to get very expensive for shorts to continue to not cover. I see a lot of people making the argument of options allowing them to further short this down with different puts and exercising those, or allowing for different things to pop up with them hedging their bets with call options and everything. But at this point, I think there's a severe lack of understanding of how insane this would be if this comes out on Monday after hours when they report this, and this short interest is literally anything over 100%. Even if it's way over 50 or 60, it's going to put it up there on the list of the top shorted stocks right now. But if this is well over 100, we're going to be seeing a lot of people that were just completely wrong about this short interest based on the fact that they're assuming the old data is going to be more accurate, which it's not, just because of the activity that's been going on in the last 2 weeks alone, and the fact that we're going to see so many people FOMOing and so much more attention on it, on the fact that this will literally be the most shorted stock on the market, most likely, with short interest right now. The other part of that is I'm already seeing the company still undervalued at this current price based on their fundamentals and what they're looking to do in the future with Instacart. I've already had a price target over $40 for them based on fundamentals purely before here. So for me, there is very minimal downside from here, aside from a longer timeline for payout down the future, possibly on the investment. This looks to be one of the most insane setups that could be happening, especially coming into Monday. A bunch of whale whales and big buyers, and a lot of just communities have been sprouting up in support of the stock, it seems. And the order flow has been steadily increasing aside from a small sell-off on Friday. And it's even been more interesting seeing supposedly whales and big, large buy orders coming in at very convenient timing to jump the price over certain support areas for periods of time during the day. I think when the short interest comes out, and I think it's going to be pretty accurate with the Ortex numbers, because to this point, I haven't seen a reason Ortex would not be accurate. This is going to bring a whole new level of attention to the stock. We're probably going to have like mainstream articles that start popping up if this starts rocketing again, like other meme stocks have gone in the market so far. We're going to be seeing different scenarios where other communities that are kind of just against the stock right now because it's in battle of their other stocks, there's going to be a lot more talk around those. Is it going to be the next this, the next that? A bunch of different scenarios like that will pop up. And this is going into next week where we have a ton of $20 and $30 call options that are expected to expire, leading into where this could be one of the nastiest weeks for the stock thus far. If the attention catches on, this gets its volume back, and the short interest is reported to be this high officially by NASDAQ. That would be absolute insanity, and I think all the people that were just dissing this before are going to have a whole new perspective on where the stock could be going in the next week. To put it in comparison, a lot of this downtrend on Friday was because we were at low volume. We had a couple days where we had like 300 million volume, and then a couple more that had over 100,000, and then we've been steadily downtrending where we went from about 50 million to 20 million to now Friday being 9 million. Double that with the fact that we had two massive red market days, and this held short interest as high as it did. This shows a very nice support area for where there's a lot of retail holding, there's a lot of potentially big buyers holding, and this is a very significant insight into where we could be looking into Monday and Tuesday next week. I've really enjoyed the direction that this stuff has been taking with going over the MRIN content. The more I dig in and the more days go by with different things, the more interesting stuff kind of lines up to me. And so I've just been making sure I try to get you guys as many updates as possible when I find new information. And this was probably the more significant one recently. I didn't really look at the next reporting date until yesterday, but this sets to where we could be seeing a very big week off of that data catalyst if it comes out to be accurate. Be sure to check out some of my other videos that I've done recently on new stocks for you to check out as well, aside from MRIN. It's good to diversify your portfolio to hedge against market risk, especially when you're playing with some more lottery kind of plays with MRIN squeezes and different things that would evolve with those kind of situations. So make sure you check out my videos on AGRI and ARPO and why I think they're both going to be solid stocks going into the long term if you'd like.